You're listening to Workforce Innovation News, powered by E23. Get ready to hear about all things workforce development and workforce innovation. And now, on to the episode.
Welcome to WIN Workforce Innovation News. I am Jamie Korda-Hijawi, the director for E23. Today, I have Kyle Sims as my guest. Kyle is the Adult Education Advisor at Lakeland College. I see Kyle quite often. We're in the same building, but I don't always understand what everyone does on the team and in the building. Everyone seems to have very expansive responsibilities, and they do really incredible things that I don't even know about until I get to sit down and pester them with questions. So Kyle, it's your turn today. I'm going to learn more about what exactly you do with your role as the Adult Education Advisor. So thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So tell me a little bit about yourself, how you got to Lakeland and what you do here.
Well, I started in 2013 as an adult education GED instructor. I knew somebody through my previous job. She used to be a GED instructor, and she asked if I would like this because she knew my background was in education going through Eastern. So I said, yeah, let's give it a try. And I've been here since. So I was just successful for the GED program. So they wanted to bring me on as an advisor to look over the GED classrooms. So that's what I do now, and taking on the role of the welding advisor as well. So there's another part of me. Her name's Janie Merriman. I cover, as far as the GED advising role, I cover the eastern part and kind of the central part of our district. So you may catch me in Paris, Marshall, Effingham, Charleston, Mattoon. So I'm everywhere with the GED. So I travel quite a bit. For the welding side of things, we have classes in Shelbyville, Sullivan, Marshall, Kansas. So you could also see me in those locations as well. So as far as being a role for the advisor for the GED, I go and visit classes, see how students are doing. If students need to meet with me, I meet with students, making sure instructors are getting testing turned into us, so we can turn it in to ICCB. So yeah, that's kind of what sums up my days as being an advisor. So yeah.
So I knew that you traveled a lot and that you're on the road. I didn't know all the different places that you go. So that's really cool. But I always, since I knew you are over the welding program, I just assumed, as I should not have, that your background was in welding and you fell into education, because my background's not in education and I somehow fell into Lakeland College. So that is new and very interesting. How did you get into the welding side of it? Did you have any experience prior and that just was a natural progression, or was it like so many other things there? We need someone to take over welding. Here you go.
I did a lot of things in a shop role. Yeah, I've welded a little bit in my lifetime, but I'm not sitting here and telling you I'm an expert welder. When going through high school, I would build demolition derby cars. So that's where I got my welding experience. So I just kind of walked into this welding role and just kind of went with it. And it's a shop oriented structure, and I love being in a shop doing things, working hands on. So that's the type of person I am. So that's why I love the welding aspect of this job so much. So as far as me welding, I don't have a lot of experience, no. So
that's okay. You don't
but
have
I've
to have
learned
a lot of experience. I have very little experience in any of the stuff I do.
Yeah.
So you get to work one-on-one with the students a lot and help guide them. But this is the adult education department. So the types of students you're working with they're not traditional. They're older students. They've had some life experiences. Besides that, what kind of people we wouldn't typically think of as students are students of the adult education welding class? Can you tell a little bit about them maybe?
So you want to talk about the welding classes?
Sure, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, let's do it.
so the people I typically get in my welding classes are people that decided that high school wasn't for them. I can't say all my students are older, but some of them are, and we give preference to those people that don't have a high school diploma or GED in my welding classes, just for the fact that I could probably catch them on when they finish their welding, I can catch them on the GED side as well and help them get their GED, and then get them onto the workforce or onto college, whatever their preference may be. So I can tell you a story about a gentleman that I used to work with at the golf course I worked at. He did not have his GED, and so I was on him for several years about coming to my classes and getting his GED. So he finally broke down one day and said, "Okay, let's do this." He went through my Charleston class. And after he got his GED within 6 months, he was ready to take my welding classes. Well, we decided, okay, let's do the welding. And he went through my welding program, and now we took a facility tour at the time at Tri-County there in Arthur. Well, they weren't hiring at the time, and so he took another job elsewhere, but he called Tri-County every day because he really loved that facility, and they finally gave him a job there. He's worked there ever since, so he's been there probably 5-6 years now. But he tells me that it was the best thing he had ever done in his life to finally listen to me and go get his GED, and I helped him get a job out of that. So that's the part I love about my job, is helping these people move on to careers or onto the community college side of getting their associates.
So you're literally changing lives. Is that
I
an
try.
accurate statement?
I can. He said I changed his life. I've heard it in person from him. So I mean, he had a minimum wage job, and now he's making $25-26 an hour, I believe. So
That is awesome. I mean, education is life-changing. We're told that, we hear it, we live it, but it's easy to kind of forget in the day-to-day, going through the steps, getting everything done. But ultimately, you're working in education, you are changing lives. You're influencing the future workforce, and a byproduct of that is changing individuals' lives. So that's really cool. I love those stories. I'm kind of jealous because I don't get to have many of those stories anymore. I'm a little bit more removed from the students and the job seekers, but I really like that you touched on, you took this student to a local employer to do a tour and to learn about that local employer. Is that common? Do you incorporate that into your processes often, or was that a one-off thing?
no, I try and do that every semester. I can tell you the places I went this past semester. I went to P&H Manufacturing in Shelbyville. We took a trip to Caterpillar in Decatur. Tri-County Welding always has us. Evapco, there in Greenup. We did something different this semester. I had some students said they wanted to go see a automotive collision repair place. So I reached out to Porter's Automotive, and they had us in, and they actually do some plastic welding that I was kind of interested in seeing. And we also went to GSI in Paris. We typically go there as well. So I try to, throughout the semester, I will have my coworker Mariah come in and help them build resumes. And then we will, at the end of semester, go on these facility tours. I don't take the facility tours until the end of semester because I don't want my students leaving me for the job opportunities that may come. But I know one student this past semester, after we left a company, him and I had filled out an application that day of, and he had a job interview before a phone call, I should say, for a job interview before he got home.
Wow.
So,
Well, it is the job seekers market right now, so I can definitely understand that there's some competition in, yeah, students might really like the idea of having a GED and working towards a future goal, but if they can reach that goal, and maybe not to the same extent, but faster, I could kind of see life happens and money talks a little bit
yep.
more. So that's the world we're living in. But I really like that you're focused on making sure that they have that GED, that education, because if anything were to happen, they still have that degree, that credential that will go with them. And that's important. That we don't always realize that, but it is important later on.
And I will, it's not always about going out and helping them get the job. If they are interested in going on and getting their associates in the welding, we will help them go talk to the people they need to further their education as well. I want to state that. So.
And that is excellent that you did, because I feel like all of the workforce partners I talk to, we're really invested in, there is not just one pathway to success, that there are many different avenues and there's ways to, in education, we hear a lot about these on-ramps and off-ramps, but that's exactly what this is. It's giving alternatives and options, because it's not a one-size-fits-all thing. What works for one person is not going to work for everyone. So having that ability to prepare them either to go directly to the workforce or to go on to attain a more advanced associate's degree, that's options. That's getting them to see different possibilities. So that is really neat. You go and you talk to these employers to do facility tours, to help place students in jobs. And then you were talking about porters and that they do plastic welding that you weren't aware of. So do you talk to employers regularly to get updates on like new methods and technologies and equipment that's being used? How do you keep what you're teaching relevant to the workforce today?
I keep in touch with a lot of my manufacturers and what they're doing. A lot of these manufacturings will, if I call them, they will give me materials they are working on. So the students, if they feel like they want to go to Evapco will provide me materials that they're using so the students can use what they're using in class. So they've even sent me over fixtures that the Evapco uses so the students can get practice.
So they are really learning what they will actually do in the workforce.
Yep.
They're in the
They are learning the trade of welding, basic welding, and then if they are wanting to go onto a certain manufacturer, I will reach out to the manufacturer and say, hey, what's your test consist of? What's the material you're using to weld on? Is there any possible way I can get some of this material? So yeah, I stay in pretty good contact with my manufacturers. So
that's important. It's a best practice, and it just makes sense. Like, we can't be preparing students for these careers and they get out there and that it's not relevant and they're not successful, they're not marketable in the workforce. So what you're doing is amazing.
I've
Clarify that.
also,
Oh,
this
go ahead.
past semester, I've had a few students come to me asking if they could just sit in on a couple of my classes just to see if they would like the trades welding. And I've also invited these students came from Pathways. They've set in on a couple welding classes to make sure they're going to like it for next semester, and they've came to orientation and sign up for these classes. So if someone's interested in seeing what my classes are like, I don't have a problem with trying to calm their anxiety going into classes like that.
That is really cool. That is new. I did not know you were doing that. That's amazing. So Pathways is the alternative education for students who are more of a traditional high school age, right? So
Yeah.
they don't necessarily have the life experiences or had much career exploration opportunities. So you're giving them an opportunity to kind of explore and experience and make a decision with the appropriate knowledge instead of just, I think welding sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I like it. Are you doing anything intentionally with like middle school age? Are you helping them see some welding career possibilities or anything
Middle
like
school
that?
age is kind of young still for what I do. I want students to get through the um, school aspect of things. I don't want to deter them from finishing school. So my big thing is some people fell on hard times or didn't like the traditional path of schooling, and that's why they've chosen this path. But I don't want it to deter people from finishing their high school diploma,
Okay,
because I see students in the GED class. Some of them will come up and say, "Man, I wish I would have finished my high school diploma because the GED is harder than I thought." So
that makes sense. I get it. But that brings to mind, have a little bit of background knowledge, but for our listeners that don't understand everything that goes on behind the scenes, can you tell a little bit what's different between your welding program through adult education and just getting like a more traditional welding certificate just through Lakeland College? They graduate high school and they go into the Lakeland welding program. What's the difference between the two?
so mine is a basic welding certificate. We teach the basics. So if you've never touched a welder, we touch the basics on how to start a welder, how to put a welder together, how to properly stick, MIG, and TIG weld. Um, yeah, we probably go overboard on that, but we try to help them get a career, or if they want to go on to college, we help them that way as well. But mine's like an entry class. So after you're done with me, you earn 11 free credit hours with the college. So you basically have one semester done, so they can be filtered into the ongoing associate degree classes. They get more in depth. They do like pipe welding and other classes as well. So I don't have a catalog in front of me, or I'd tell you what else they did. So but yeah, so in my classes, you will also do a couple industrial safety classes. You'll do a blueprint reading class, and you'll do an applied mathematics class as well. So it's just not all welding for the 4 nights a week. You still have to do the math class and the reading class and the industrial safety side of class as well.
So, and this is what I think is really cool that I know that other people don't necessarily realize, but you just hit on it, that reading that math, that industrial safety, it's integrated into what they're already doing and team taught, if I'm not mistaken. And that's intentional as a way
Yep.
to immerse someone who may not, or might be intimidated to take some of those more gen ed courses at the college level on their own. So it makes it less intimidating. It really contextualizes it. So they're learning something that's very pertinent to what they will be doing, as opposed to, let's read the Scarlet Letter and what's that going to do for me in welding, you know? So I think that's really cool.
A couple of those classes, blueprint and math, we have fully put those as an online class. So they're also getting the experience of how do I work Canvas, how do I do online classes with the college if they want to go on as well. So
Okay. So you are prepared, because we're moving towards a more remote friendly workforce. Even in welding, there might be times they're going to have to hop onto a Zoom call to talk to a customer or client. They're going to have to track sales plans, forecasting on computers. So they got to have some digital dexterity as well.
Yep.
Awesome.
So we're preparing them for that world as well too, or trying. So
Very cool. Very awesome. So local employers that you talk to, you do these facility tours with, are they approaching you now saying like, hey, I need people. Do you have people you can send my way? I need some people. Are they approaching you, or
I do
is it
have a
like
few companies that reach out when they are hiring, ask if I know anybody. There is another company that has reached out that I have never done a tour for, which is in the Arthur area that we will be doing a tour. I don't want to say that company yet, but they did reach out and said, hey, I see what you're doing at other companies. How do we get on that list? And I said, okay, I'll get you on the list and we'll be there next semester. So
news is spreading? They're hearing about you. That means you're doing
yeah,
some good stuff.
yeah. So yeah, it's a wonderful thing.
Good. So workforce development, adult education, industry partners, all of us working together. It's so important, not just for us, but for the job seekers, the student, the customer, the clients, whoever it is that we're serving, however we title them. We're giving them a more relevant, more fulfilling experience and training so that they can be successful and they can have those life-changing moments where they can be self-sufficient, they can provide for their families, they can have a better quality of life. So it's just so amazing to hear all these different ways that we're all doing slightly different things for the same common end goal. And I just nerd out over it. So I really appreciate learning more about the welding program in adult education. Very cool.
Well, feel free to stop by a class and see them in person if you'd like.
Awesome. So they want more information, anyone listening, whether it's employers, whether it's job seekers, whether it's someone who works with people who are looking to get employment or careers, where do they need to go to get more information or to contact you?
They can reach us on the Lakeland College Adult Education website, which is under the academics tab. Our phone number's on there. I can tell you our phone number right now, 217-238-8292. That will get you in touch with Des, and she usually gives us the message to give them a call back, or just call my line directly, 217-238-8223. That's my line directly. And if I'm not here, leave a message, because those messages goes to my email. So I'm checking my email about every 5 minutes. So I'm getting emails quite a bit. So
yeah, if you don't check every 5 minutes, that inbox just gets overwhelming. I feel like
yeah. So I will reach back out. And like I said before, I do a lot of traveling, so just bear with me. Be patient, and I will get back in touch with the person.
Awesome. Good to know. I was a guest on someone else's podcast recently, and they asked me a question that I was kind of ashamed to answer. All right, you're on my podcast. So what other podcasts do you subscribe to or listen to on a regular basis?
I don't do podcasts. I'm an FM, AM radio kind of guy. So
I gotcha.
my car's older, so I don't get all the fancy tools to work
You don't
with.
have the aux cord to plug in and just play it off your phone.
So yeah. So sorry, I don't listen to many podcasts. So
that's okay. Don't be embarrassed. I subscribe to several, but I don't always listen to them. And I should, given that I do a podcast, but life happens. And yeah. So thank you so much for being a guest. And despite not being a podcast person, going ahead and taking that leap, love it. So I really appreciate you being here. And I look forward to doing more with you to, help the local workforce develop and grow and be stronger.
Yep, I love being a partner with you guys. So,
Awesome. Thanks, Kyle.
all right, thank you.
You've been listening to Workforce Innovation News powered by E23. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. To learn more about E23, visit lwa23.net.